webinar today entitled Making Decisions Faster with AWS and SAP HANA. My name is Stephen Jones, and I'm a Principal SAP Solutions Architect here at AWS and focus most of my time and energy supporting technical engagements with SAP customers and partners worldwide. I also lead the certification efforts of the AWS platform for SAP products. Now today I'm pleased to be joined by Ron Bletchner, who leads the SAP practice at IT Methods. They're one of our strategic partners for helping customers with SAP workloads. His primary responsibilities include account management, pre-sales activities, and project delivery. And he comes with extensive experience with over 20 years with SAP Germany and SAP Americas, holding leadership roles as a platinum level consultant, a senior solution engineer, and a manager of a global customer response team. And also joining us is Pras Chatterjee, Director of Product Marketing at SAP, focusing on enterprise performance management and specifically planning solutions. Now, prior to this, he was the practice manager for SAP services in North America and was focusing on SAP BPC and was also a solutions architect with SAP, delivering SAP BPC solutions to customers. Now, all three of us are really excited about what customers are doing in this space, and we'll share some of why SAP HANA and specifically BPC on HANA makes really good sense on AWS. But first, just a few logistical items to get out of the way. You can submit questions at any point during the presentation using the Q&A tool, which will take some time at the end of the presentation to answer. Second, shortly after the webinar, we'll make a copy of these slides available on the AWS SlideShare channel, so no need to frantically take screenshots. And last but not least, this webinar is also being recorded and will be posted to the AWS webinar channel, so if you can go back and listen to it again later or share it with a coworker, that's also possible. Now here's a quick agenda of what we're going to cover. First, I'll give a brief introduction of Amazon Web Services along with some of the key information regarding operating general SAP workloads on the AWS platform. Then I'll turn it over to Ron to give a more in-depth view of why they, along with some specific details around how you can realize rapid time to value by leveraging SAP Business Planning Consolidation, or BPC, on the AWS platform. Then Pras will join both of us at the end for the question and answer session. And again, we're excited to hear what questions you have, so remember to submit those questions as we go along. So who is Amazon Web Services? You might be surprised, but I get asked this question all the time. And Amazon Web Services really is part of Amazon.com. And most of us are very familiar with the Amazon retail store. But there's also another part of our business, which is Amazon Web Services. Now, Amazon Web Services is really a complete set of infrastructure and application services that enables customers to run virtually any application. This is enterprise applications like SAP, to big data projects leveraging the latest technology like SAP HANA, to social games and mobile applications. And the best part is that it's all pay per use. And this may be a foreign sounding concept for compute infrastructure, but it really is much like a utility service, for example, electricity. And even though we offer many different options and services, you, the customer, get to choose what you use based on your own business needs and use as much or as little as you like. Now, central to our offerings are our compute, our storage, and our database services. Now, our data center footprint is global, and it spans 5 continents with highly redundant clusters of data centers in each region. We're organized in what we call regions and availability zones. And at this time, you can see that there are 10 regions strategically placed around the globe. You can think of these regions as essentially separate clouds of IT infrastructure, and there's total isolation between regions. Even the control plane which you use to create and manage resources is not shared. And when you as a customer sign up for an AWS account for services, you immediately have access to these resources all over the globe. So no longer do you need to be constrained by having to operate IT infrastructure. And our footprint is obviously expanding continuously as we increase capacity, redundancy, and add locations to meet the needs of our customers all around the world. Now, I won't spend a lot of time on this slide, but just wanted to mention that some of the benefits that come with operating your solutions on AWS. Most customers typically look at cost reduction as the first reason to start looking at AWS to run and operate your SAP workloads. And in fact, it's a really good reason. A recent study done by a company out of Germany called VMS shows that customers can actually save up to 69% by operating their SAP environments on AWS as compared to on-premise. But we also see customers benefiting from many other features of the platform that just make things so much easier, from enabling IT projects so much quicker to scaling infrastructure to instantly meet demands, to getting out from under hardware refresh life cycles. What we do is much of the undifferentiated heavy lifting so you can focus on what really differentiates you as a business so you can provide the most value to you, to your own customers. So let's talk specifically about SAP and what's specifically supported or certified on the AWS platform. And for the past 3 years, we've been really working closely with SAP to validate our platform for all of the SAP workloads that customers are wanting to run today. And today you can operate with full support of SAP any product based on NetWeaver 7.0 or higher, and that's ABAP or Java, as well as all the other non-NetWeaver-based products you see listed here. We're also really excited to recently announce jointly with SAP support for the SAP HANA database, with which we'll spend most of our topic on today. Now, note I've also listed an SAP support note 165609, which outlines many of the details around support for solutions on AWS. Now, many customers have questions about how to get started, what services does AWS provide, and what is the customer responsible for. And it's fairly simple. We follow a shared responsibility model where AWS manages the physical infrastructure up through the virtualization layer or the hypervisor, and then the customer, you the customer or a partner of your choosing, manages the operating system, patching, backup and recovery, and potentially even, if you want, the operation of the SAP application. And it's all dependent upon your needs. And what we're really finding is that partners are key to many of our customer successes. And as I previously mentioned, IT Methods is really one of our go-to partners for customers who are looking for consulting or managed services as it relates to operating SAP-specific workloads on AWS. And they're also really good at helping customers put together a solid hybrid cloud strategy for those looking to securely connect their on-premise resources with applications deployed on the AWS platform. So at this time, Ron from IT Methods to give you a bit more background on who they are and to dive deeper into today's topic.
Thanks, Steve. So organizations today of all sizes are deploying SAP solutions on AWS. As new companies embark on their own cloud journey, they need to determine what makes the most sense for them. It's not an all or nothing choice, and there are a number of questions that each customer will need to consider, such as, what can I run in the cloud? How much should I be running in the cloud? And where does things like hosting and on-premise fit within my application architecture? As companies evolve, they can't afford to be slow. They need to be agile and innovative. Getting the computing resources they need when you need them can shorten projects, which can result in less cost and quicker and more predictive time to market. Being able to deliver results faster, cheaper, and with higher quality can give your organization a competitive edge. What holds back the pursuit of new ideas within large and small organizations? Well, of course, it's time and money, or in most cases, the lack thereof. Innovations spring from constant experimentation, the ability to keep trying new ideas, knowing that often many of them will fail. On-demand cloud resources from AWS provide the way for us to try out new ideas without extreme investments. There's a number of well-defined certified use cases that have been created to provide competitive advantage when running SAP solutions on AWS. For example, disaster recovery or DR. AWS can offer data and replication protection at a lower cost than traditional models. This can be simple backup and restore scenarios to more comprehensive pilot light and warm standby scenarios. Organizations can extend their existing IT infrastructure to the AWS Cloud to support their non-production systems. You can run your non-production systems such as a dev environment or a QA or a training environment in the cloud or some combination of these. This, of course, can be extended to include some or all of your productive SAP solutions such as SAP ECC or BW. This is where you'd put your entire landscape of all production and non-production systems on the AWS platform. Many organizations first make their test into AWS through a POC scenario. The flexibility of starting quickly and paying as you go makes it perfect for temporary environments, environments that you want to get up quickly and then later shut down at some point in the future. BPC in the cloud is a special certified use case offered by IT Methods. Whether it be a migration from an old release like BPC 7.5 to a newer release, or maybe migrating to HANA, SAP's in-memory high-performance database, or simply a net new BPC deployment, running it on AWS can get you there faster and cheaper. In a traditional deployment of application software, there are a series of steps that need to be performed, from the creation of a project plan, the procuring of appropriate hardware, the installation of the SAP software, through to the design, build, or migration, and finally to the testing. With AWS, many of these steps can be significantly reduced and often executed in parallel. When migrating applications to AWS, the procurement of the infrastructure as well as the installation of the SAP software virtually disappear. Elements of the project prep are also significantly reduced. For migration projects, we leverage SAP tools to migrate your existing BPC business data and configuration to the new BPC 10 platform. We'll execute comprehensive testing to ensure that all of your existing business scenarios and processes operate properly once the migration is complete. So let's talk a little bit about SAP BPC specifically running in the cloud. SAP BPC is a robust planning and consolidation application designed to meet organizational budgeting, planning, consolidation, and reporting requirements, all within a single solution. It supports a wide array of top-down and bottom-up financial planning needs, as well as consolidation processes to ensure a smooth and timely financial close. It's helped many organizations improve their planning and consolidation frequency, as well as the data accuracy. Customers using BPC have reported budget cycles that have been reduced, and user confidence has increased in the financial results because organizations have moved away from the spreadsheets and the paper trail often associated with planning and budgeting. The trend for the Office of the CFO continues to be consistent as it's been for past years. Harnessing business intelligence and big data is critical for strategic planning, forecasting, and budgeting. There's a major drive within organizations today to get instant access and insight into all relevant data. This will strengthen management's strategic decision-making abilities with regards to investments and their resource allocations. There continues to be a strong focus on streamlining the financial close process, from improving account reconciliation and financial consolidation to period-end close. Finance today is looking to achieve greater efficiencies in these areas. SAP BPC Cloud on HANA is able to support today's financial planning priorities by enabling better planning and analysis capabilities. With SAP BPC, it leverages the power of Microsoft Excel as its user interface. It basically transforms Excel from a personal desktop tool into a collaborative enterprise BPC solution that provides users with a familiar, intuitive user interface. Excel now becomes the window into the BPC application where your rules are centralized and your business processes are managed. In addition, BPC 10 now provides an enhanced web UI that supports drill-through reporting. The web UI can also be used to perform advanced administration tasks like creating your models and setting up your business rules. There are several deployment options available which are designed to provide maximum flexibility to you. For example, you have the option of implementing BPC on your own. We can set up your infrastructure on AWS, and then you can take it from there. You can leverage our certified BPC experts to support your project needs as appropriate. There are also rapid deployment solutions, or RDSs. These RDSs enable you to put in BPC in as little as 7 weeks. This implementation approach leverages a number of things, including best business practice models and high-value planning and analysis templates. It also follows best practices around integrating your data into your SAP GL. We can also work alongside you to create a tailored solution designed specifically to meet your unique needs. Our years of experience and deep SAP BPC knowledge set us apart as a true partner to support your business success. To get started, we've created a short 4-step process that begins with Quick Start Planning. During Quick Start Planning, our qualified team performs an initial analysis of your current state and your desired future state. This will serve as a critical input into the next phase, which we'll do as part of the POC. The POC is basically a limited implementation of the SAP BPC solution. They're usually about 2 to 3 weeks in duration, and of course, they're deployed on the AWS platform. Implementation scenarios typically include things like a GL planning or a headcount planning scenario. Of course, there are other scenarios that are also available. During the POC, we'll load your customer data into the solution, and we'll also deliver a number of executive reports and dashboards. Following the proof of concept, we'll transition it to a full deployment, expanding on the value that we created as part of the POC. And of course, this will involve one of the deployment options that we discussed previously. Finally, we'll basically head to the go live, where every IT methods customer will benefit from our SAP BPC Cloud support services. The base offering includes such important services as a 7x24 solution monitoring and a support help desk. As I stated in the beginning, everyone's cloud journey is unique. And to that end, we've created a flexible pricing model designed to meet the needs of organizations of all sizes, from rapid POCs to large-scale deployments. AWS creates a lot of opportunity for running SAP solutions. I'd like to invite you to take the SAP BPC Cloud solution for a test drive. Within minutes, you can be exploring the benefits of SAP BPC solution with the performance and the agility delivered through Amazon Web Services. So here's some contacts and URLs that you can leverage to get some additional information on the content that you've heard today. And at this point, I'd like to open it up for questions.
Thank you, Ron. Before we jump into the Q&A session, we'd like to ask all our attendees to take a quick poll. Our first poll question, and only poll question today, is overall, how satisfied are you with today's webinar? Please complete this poll. Thank you. Thank you for taking this poll. We appreciate your results. At this time, I'd like to hand it over to Steve for question and answer. Steve, you have the floor.
Provided by IT methods. So yeah, there's quite a number of questions here, and I'll just start with this one. Perhaps this may be one for you. Functionally, are there any differences between SAP BPC and BPC running on AWS?
Hi, Steve. That's a great question, and actually there are no differences whatsoever. In fact, as was pointed out, there are some benefits, because if you are thinking about having BPC on-premise, you may or may not be struggling with having HANA, but at least on AWS, you're provided with SAP HANA as your backend, so that's a huge advantage that you have, plus you'll get the performance that HANA provides and such.
Excellent. Thanks, Pras. And Ron, a related question to that. From your experience, what does the performance difference look like when running BPC on a native database, different database other than HANA?
That's a great question, Steve. So the in-memory capabilities of what SAP delivers through HANA have really made the application provide a lot of benefits that aren't previously available with the more traditional data model. Organizations can plan more rapidly, get response much more quickly with regards to very intense queries, and that's providing some additional advantages to organizations.
There's a question here, is running financial applications like BPC secure in AWS? I'll go ahead and take that. And we didn't spend a lot of time on that now. We have this notion of what's called a virtual private cloud, and this basically allows a customer to electronically isolate the resources that are spun up in their account so that only they have access, only you have access to those. And there's different ways to get access to those. And one of the most secure ways is to actually just extend your data center through either a VPN tunnel or another service which we call Direct Connect, which I'll talk about in a moment, to basically make this virtual private cloud an extension of your data center. So you can imagine that your customers, your internal customers, actually don't even need to know really where these resources are running. So, for example, assume you have a VPC on HANA environment running on AWS. You've connected your data center up through a encrypted IPsec tunnel. Your data center, you use the address ranges as you do on premise. You just create a different subnet within the VPC on AWS, and now client traffic is rerouted over this VPN tunnel. So it's very secure, and it's very manageable. One of the other things that we really see our customers like to do is take and use the investments that they made in existing tooling, whether it be management tools or whatnot, and be able to manage the resources on AWS. I did mention a service called Direct Connect. Ron, do you want to describe some of the services you offer around Direct Connect?
I'm sorry, Steve, could you repeat that?
Yeah, could you just talk about some of the services you offer around Direct Connect?
Yes, certainly. So at IT Methods, we're able to provide a direct connection to organizations that essentially make it easy for them to establish that dedicated network connection to organizations or companies' on-premise infrastructure. So essentially, you can have the reliability and the additional speed by leveraging AWS's Direct Connect by establishing that private connectivity between you, your data center, and the AWS infrastructure.
Right, exactly. Ron, this may be another question for you. You mentioned that VPC on the front end can be Microsoft Excel based. Does the same apply to all the OLAP and OLTP reports, or SAP HANA uses some other format for reporting which can also be used?
I'm not sure I heard the question on that one, Steve. Maybe you'll have to repeat that for me.
Yeah, so we talked about how Microsoft Excel can be the front end for the VPC solution. Does the same apply to all OLAP and OLTP reports, or does SAP HANA use some other format for reporting?
So in that particular case, when you're reporting off of a HANA repository, you can in fact use Excel, or you can use the suite of SAP tools that are provided through their Business Intelligence suite. And they are also open to sort of open interfaces that can allow third-party applications to leverage the information that's stored inside HANA.
Okay. Another question here, do we have any benchmarks on what are the cost savings around TCO or implementation, reduction in effort? Any idea on that?
Well, there are a number of studies that have been published. We'd have to see if we could make them available as part of this webinar, but there's definitely a lot of work being done in this particular area that have illustrated that when you look at all of the pieces that go into the deployment of an SAP application, there are clearly time savings and cost savings associated with leveraging the flexibility of AWS's platform.
Yeah, I agree, and I would point you to, we have a microsite specifically devoted to SAP on the AWS main page. If you go to aws.amazon.com/SAP, there's actually a number of studies out there. One is the VMS study, which I mentioned, which goes through in great detail, what it takes to operate an SAP environment on AWS and breaks out some of the cost savings. So that's a really good resource for those who might be interested in that. Question here. And Ron, you and I could both take this. Is there any guidance on how I would transfer large amounts of data into AWS? Now, I'm assuming that this is, we're taking data out of systems that would be on-premise, and we're loading them into HANA for reporting. Ron, you want to take a first stab at that?
Actually, I'll let you take a first stab at it, Steve, and then I can supplement where necessary.
Sure, you bet. So there are actually a number of different ways to do this. So depending on the size of the data, and typically I use a rule of thumb of about a terabyte or less. This is all really dependent on your connection to the internet, the connection your company has to the internet, because that will be the most limiting factor. But if it's less than a terabyte, you can transfer that over the wire. If you've got much more than a terabyte, then what you can do, there's a couple different options. AWS Import-Export service, where you can actually take this mass amount of data and put it on some removable media. Some people send us USB drives. Some people send us hard drives as well, and we'll take those and we'll ingest those into our S3 service, and we'll make that data available to you, to your account only. And then from there, you can load that into HANA. We see a lot of customers using it today for large data transfers, system migrations, and those types of things. There are other options. So there are some open source tools. One that comes to mind is Tsunami UDP, and this allows you to actually parallelize a big bulk data transfer. Again, as long as your network pipe to the internet is large enough, and you're not. You want to be careful not to impact other workloads that are occurring. There are also some other third-party applications that are available on our marketplace, AWS to Amazon.com/marketplace, that also do something similar. We'll spin up a fleet of AWS systems. So again, you can parallelize the mass transit of data. So those are just a few of the options. There's a question here about ECC6 and NetWeaver support. And so, yeah, I'll take that one. So, again, we've been working with SAP for about 3 years now on certifying all types of SAP solutions, and definitely ECC6 is supported on the AWS platform. There's some really interesting things that, again, the AWS platform provides, which are the ability to do multi-data center deployments, or we call them availability zones. So typically, we'll architect an SAP application to run on hardware that is highly redundant, and we protect it from all types of things in a single data center loss. On AWS, you can actually do things a little bit differently and deploy the application across multiple availability zones. So you can also survive a catastrophic data center loss and still be able to function from an SAP application perspective. So that's something we see customers doing today, and it's something that's a little bit different when you think about running these traditional SAP type applications. Looks like we may have time for a couple more questions here. Here's one: how are upgrades and patches managed when customers run SAP BPC in the cloud? Ron, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure, I'll take that one. Well, basically, there's a number of ways that can be handled. Basically, IT Methods can offer a complete service model where we'll be responsible for all the administration functions that pertain to the SAP application. So this would include things like upgrades to the SAP application, patches, even things a little bit lower, which would include database and operating system related functions. And of course, we would be coordinating these activities with the customer's IT team just to ensure that we would be able to execute those things smoothly.
Excellent. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah.
And one final question around this is a topic that many customers are concerned about, and I would direct you to our security site. We've done a lot of work here. There's a lot of certifications that we've done, and what customers often find is that they can actually increase their security profile by running their applications on AWS as opposed to on-premise. And we have some very large enterprise customers running on us, and what they find is that, and we also have some very small customers running on us, and the great thing about the AWS platform is that everybody gets to take advantage of the security we've put in place. And like I said, it's very important to us. We run our own Amazon.com business on Amazon, how Amazon Web Services was born, and we take security very seriously. All right, so we appreciate you folks joining today. There's a quick survey link on the screen. If you could take some time, we're always looking to improve our webinars and to provide content, and feedback is always important. Take a moment to just short survey. Help us. Ron and Pras for joining us today and for your contributions.
Our pleasure.